California's Clean Air Act overturned, 300,000 Ford vehicles recalled, and I've got a good news story coming up for you. That's on this episode of Automotive Repair News Today. All right, welcome in. This is Automotive Repair News Today. Excited to have you with me today. I'm Braxton, your host, and yeah, I'm wearing the Asheville Tourists t-shirt today because this drive home for you this Wednesday, I'm about to head out to go to a tourist game. Today, this Wednesday, what is it, May 7th, is Doggies at the Diamond. My wife and I enjoy going to tourist games when we can. They're about a mile from where we live. But whenever there's the opportunity to take the dog out with us, we go. Last time we went last year, I think there were 400 and some odd dogs there. Probably not going to be as many today. It's a little overcast, cooler, chance of rain. So anyway, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but we are going to Doggies at the Diamond. Hope you have some plans this evening as well, and hope your week is going well too. So Automotive Repair News Today, the podcast covers, automotive repair and what's happening across the automotive industry. And just to keep you informed to what's going on, what you can do to help improve the industry, and also keep you informed about what kind of training events are coming up as well. So right off the top, I talked about the California Clean Air Act returned or overturned. Maybe the House of Representatives is moving it to the Senate now to overturn this, and it's a bipartisan agreement so far. Somehow we're got a couple of those. The Repair Act is another one that's a bipartisan bill. That is the Clean Air Act is one of those too. So right now, the SEMA has really been pushing hard for this. If you follow along on this podcast, I've covered it. By the way, like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the bell if you're watching on YouTube. That way you'll know about new episodes that come out for this podcast and others. But hey, this is great because the Biden administration, of course, if you know what the Clean Air Act is, they were going to ban gas-powered cars by 2035, so 10 years from now in California. Obviously, the EV market is not ready for that, but I think the Biden administration trying this in California to maybe spur it along a little bit, just wanted to see if it would work. There was a lot of hesitation, even among Democrats, about, hey, this is probably not a good idea. We're not ready for this, even if it's kicking the can a decade down the road. Just not a good idea. So the representatives, the U.S. House, have now said yes, we're going to overturn the Clean Air Act. On to the Senate. So that's the update on that. I'll keep you posted about what the Senate says too. By the way, speaking about government and the automotive industry, I've talked a lot about tariffs, and the Trump administration was going to propose starting May 2nd, so almost a week ago, that they were going to enforce 25% tariffs on Mexico, Canada, but Trump has, effective a few days ago, May 3rd, he kind of had an amendment to that, saying that as long as auto parts comply with the United States, Mexico, and Canada agreement, they will be exempt from the 25% tariffs. Basically what that is, there needs to be a paper trail for auto parts that say they originate from either the U.S., Canada, or Mexico. And if they can provide that information, they won't have to pay that 25% tariff, which is a big deal. I mean, the auto industry, I don't know if you've noticed, but when I turn on the TV and commercials come on, man, Ford, Honda, I think Nissan, I'm sure others have been running a lot of advertisements that talk about their commitment to the United States. And if you don't know what's going on, if you're outside of the industry and you watch those commercials, you may not really understand why they're running ads like that, but trying to get people to know, hey, even if we have tariffs. Oh, one of them said, it may have been Nissan. They said employee, they were going to offer people to purchase vehicles with their employee discount. And it did everything but to say, hey, even if there are tariffs on our auto parts, our prices are going to stay the same. So the auto industry is scared. Repair shops, I'm sure if you're in this industry, you're scared too. My wife and I are trying to sell our condo, and it's been difficult so far because people are saying, well, folks aren't wanting to buy because they're nervous about the economy, but what's going to happen with these tariffs. So this is a good thing that the Trump administration has done to exempt Mexico and Canada, as long as they have a paper trail to show that those parts originate from those countries. All right. AAPEX registration is now open. It's November 4th through the 6th in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm going to be there. Excited for year 2, going to SEMA and AAPEX. By the way, if you sign up for SEMA or AAPEX, your badge will get you to both shows. So if you have been thinking about that, registration is now open. I think it's later on in June when the price goes up. So you've got, about a month and a half to make that decision. But I would say go ahead and choose to go, but go ahead and make that decision now. Decide who you're going to bring with you. If you're going to go by yourself, just listen, plane tickets, hotels are going to be more affordable right now. Of course, the registration fee to go to AAPEX or SEMA is cheaper too. So if you're going to go now, make the decision quick. But I'd encourage you to go. I had a blast. I did not go to SEMA. It was just AAPEX, but incredible event, great networking. And of course, I loved Vegas. Vegas was awesome. That was my first time. So I'm looking forward to go back again. That again is November 4th through the 6th in Vegas. Wayne Gretzky, also keynote speaker at AAPEX. All right, so 300,000 Ford vehicles have been recalled. I kind of teased that at the top. This is in connection to backup cameras. They're not displaying the correct images. The vehicles that are in this recall, model year 2015 Ford Broncos, 2015 Expeditions, F-250s, F-350s, F-450s, and the Lincoln MKC and Navigator, as well as model year 2022 to 2023 Ford Broncos. I think the number is actually about 290,000 that are having this issue with the rear view cameras not showing the correct images. So for your repair shop, if you're at a dealership with Ford, of course, you'll be sending out those letters as well. But let your customers know if they have any of the 2015 Ford Bronco, Expedition, 250, 350, 450, Lincoln MKC, and Navigator, as well as 2022, 2023 Ford Bronco. That recall is out there, and they can get a complimentary repair on their rear view camera. All right, some good news about the automotive industry. I want to cover this. And by the way, this will be I will have more detail on this in an upcoming Good News in Auto Repair podcast. Excited about this to talk with Sean Brennan. He is with C&H Auto in New Canaan, Connecticut. Really cool story I found on Ratchet and Wrench this morning. So one of Sean's best friends in New Canaan, Connecticut, and his name escapes me, but he is a big, avid specialty car connoisseur. And he started this car show called Caffeine and Carburetors there in Connecticut. And the money that he has been raising from this car show, he was like, I want to give back to my community. And basically he connected with the local town, and he has raised funds through what he's calling the Caffeine and Carburetors Automotive Assistant Fund for anyone there in the county who can't afford a repair can request assistance with the Department of Human Services there in New Canaan. And if they qualify, that resident will have their costs covered for the repair at C&H Auto. So stories like this pop up from time to time, and that's why I do a podcast called Good News in Auto Repair, to let you know some of the good things that are happening in the industry and maybe to inspire you to do something similar in your area too. But that's a great story. And I'm sure they've got rules in place to help make sure that folks who need the repairs are actually getting them, and people aren't going to take advantage of that. But great story up there in Connecticut, and excited to talk to Sean Brennan and his friend at Caffeine and Carburetors about that coming up. I think we're going to try to connect next week or the following. So look for that later on in May, that full podcast to talk about this story and what they're doing and why, and maybe give you some insight on how you can do something similar in your area. All right, that basically wraps up this episode. Not basically, that wraps up this episode of Automotive Repair News Today. Those are the top stories from around the industry. And as you drive home today and listen to this podcast, I encourage you to follow along on social media, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the podcast, so you can get up-to-date info about what is happening across the industry as I try to give you more content. By the way, tomorrow, going to release a podcast talking about tools coming up in Pennsylvania. So that will be later on this month, Memorial Day weekend. Excited to hear about how that goes. I will not be able to attend that event, but I will release a podcast covering why you should go if you're in that area, or even if you're not, why you should book a last minute trip to go to Tools, because it's going to be a great event. So I'll have a podcast about that tomorrow. But that's why you subscribe, so you can get notifications about when I release new content. All right. If you have news to share, as always, you can email me at braxton@automotiverepairnews.com, and I'll talk to you soon.